All right. If there's two things most sellers want to get if they're selling on Amazon, and that is sales off of Amazon and recurring revenue. And so if that sounds of interest to you, you're in the right place because my guest today has both of those figured out. So that's why I'm super excited to bring on the CEO of BattleBox, John Roman. So John, thanks for coming on Maximizing E-commerce.
Thanks for having me, Kevin.
Yes, yeah. So I'm excited to get into this because it's one of those things that I've thought about over the years is subscriptions. And so you have a pretty elaborate subscription company that you run, if I'm catching this right.
Yeah. So we have we're the BattleBox group. BattleBox is our flagship subscription, but we have BattleBox, we have which is outdoor camping, survival, could be a tent, could be a knife or a fire starter. And then we also have Carnivore Club, which is monthly charcuterie. So artisanal meats cured. So think like a salami or prosciutto. And then we also have Wanlo, which is a children's experience subscription. So the goal being to get kids kind of off the screens a little bit. You're not going to be able to get kids fully off screens these days, but if we can, get them outside a little bit, like maybe when we were kids, I think a lot of parents connect with that. So those are our main three. And yeah, they're all subscription centric, subscription first.
Got it. So just for the sake of definitions, the very simple question, what is a subscription?
Sure. So a subscription is a reoccurring billing. So in our, you'll see different versions of it. Amazon, made the subscribe and save famous. And they really led the pack there where, you're ordering this replenishable product and agree to a frequency of every 30 days or every 6 weeks, what have you. And there's typically a discount associated with it. And then there's other subscriptions, right? There's subscriptions that we've had forever. I remember when decades ago when I used to fill out the Columbia House mailer so I could get my 12 free CDs, 12 CDs for $1.
Right.
And then or VHS before
$30 for a CD every month after that.
Yeah. But then the subscription renews and it's like $89 and you only get 2 now. So we've had subscriptions forever. So there's that type, there's membership, which, you're receiving some kind of service. There's obviously streaming subscriptions that we all use every day. And then us, which is it's a little bit non-traditional, which is simply it's a surprise. It's mystery. You don't know what you're getting with any of our brands. We treat it almost in that Supreme model where, everybody finds out at the same time. This is the drop. We, are very strategic. Our main facility is in Atlanta, Georgia. So we start shipping West Coast and then we go across. That way everybody gets it delivered around the same couple of days. But it's a complete mystery. So people are trusting us to hopefully send them something good since they're giving us a lot of money for it.
Okay. Got it. So, and this is one of those things where like, unlike subscribe and save, which is generally like if you have a coffee you like, where they just send it to you every month or whatever frequency, it's the same product over and over again. This is, you're sending them something different that they won't know about until they get.
Yeah. So it's always different. BattleBox, we launched it in 2015 and, at this point we're getting close to, we're in the mid 90s now of different boxes. We call our boxes with BattleBox missions. So we're getting close to mission 100. We'll hit it early middle part of next year. And we don't repeat items, which brings a whole nother procurement is definitely a multi-person, multi-team job, which, subscribe and save, you don't have to worry about that as much. That's, I would think, honestly, if you have a replenishable product, subscribe and save is a much easier barrier and arguably might have better conversion rate, might have more success. We're thinking now of like how we can get more in replenishable or more same item, just because it makes not for our core offering, but for additional offerings.
Got it. All right. Well, let's go back in time before we start diving deeper into all these strategies and philosophies with it. But let's go back to 2015. That was about the time I got started in e-commerce.
Okay.
I decided to go all in on figuring out Amazon. You went all in on the subscription model. What made you decide to go this route?
So the idea, the concept of it is interesting. So 2015 was when I first dipped my toes in e-commerce. For the previous decade, I was managing and starting and building sales teams in the B2B space. So telecommunications and software as a service. And I was investing in companies that were in hitting my desk, so to speak, just through my network. And my business partner, no longer, but was my business partner for 6 years. Daniel, he came up with this idea. His wife was getting a Birchbox in the mail, which is a female subscription box, makeup, eyeliner, kind of like beauty products. They actually are, I think, filing bankruptcy this month. Which is crazy because they had a over $1 billion valuation at one point.
Oh, wow.
But he saw her getting this box and he saw this excitement level, and he was like, "Man, I want a box for myself. I want to when I'm seeing her experience, I want to experience too." Went online. He's a outdoorsman and he couldn't find anything, and then said, "Okay, well, if I can't find it, I want to create it." I got involved 2 weeks after launch, and then my plan from the beginning was just investment and limited capacity in the business, just kind of some advisement, a couple hours a week, nothing too insane. But then, we did 4.5 million our first year.
Wow.
So 2016 year two, in the beginning, we had a run rate of 8 figures, and I said, okay, yeah, I have a mortgage, I have all these things, responsibility. I'm going to tell my wife that I'm going to take this career that I'm building and jumping into e-com, something I only know a year about. And we did it. It was scary, but
got it. So you decided to make the pull or the plunge. You weren't necessarily the original starter of it, but you were the one basically helping ramp it up.
Yeah. So there were 4 of us that were the technical co-founders. And when I came in 2016, one of my first tasks was buying out one of the 4th partners. So it became 3. And the 3 of us, Daniel, Patrick, and myself, we ran the business up until a little over a year ago when Daniel stepped down.
Got it. So basically you started off in an advisory role, then you said, I'm going to go all in on this, bought out another one of the co-founders, and then you've been scaling it since. So, okay, help me understand, since I probably am going to ask a lot more basic questions than someone else in the subscription, because I'm curious about this. And I know a lot of people in my audience will be curious about this too, because, on Amazon, you hope that someone comes back and buys your product because, they just go to their manage orders and like, I'll just buy that again. Or maybe they do subscribe and save if your product lends itself to that. But how do you market this just to even get started? So like, how do you acquire a customer?
Sure. So it was a great question. So the funny thing, we can get into this later on Amazon, we actually sell one-time products, but we also sell our subscription on there as well. Back to your question, everywhere. So our channels are everything. There's a heavy focus on social. So for us, Meta, Facebook, Instagram, Google search is huge. YouTube is very large. TikTok is our largest channel, which a year ago it wasn't, but we've had to kind of shift the focus on this content piece. But then everything from podcasts to connected TV, so like ads on Hulu, everything we've tried. We've tried traditional television as well. That's really tough to track.
Oh, I could imagine.
But it's everything. So, and even on the Amazon side, we're running Amazon ads on both our subscription product and our one-time products.
Okay. Now, I'm curious, like on Amazon, how do you sell the subscription? Like,
sure.
are they
So
buying the subscription, making it subscribe and save to get this
no,
product?
so we've been in it for a few years now.
Mhm.
We were part of the beta with them. So it's called Amazon Subscribe, and it's a subscription box offering that Amazon has. Amazon has about I think maybe 300 or so subscription boxes like
Mhm.
us in the program. And it functions exactly like it's not it expectations are clear. It's a different box each month.
Uh-huh.
We have the same offering, all four tiers. So our pricing, we have four different options. But it doesn't function as a subscribe and save. It functions as a subscription to a service.
Mhm. Got it. So are you fulfilling this, or are you sending it to a fulfillment center and they fulfill it?
Yeah. So for traditional one-time sales, we do FBA. That's
Mhm.
what we want to do. The subscription box piece is FBM.
Okay.
No choice in the matter. We
Right.
would much rather do FBA. I think the initial plan when we were launching the beta was that, a year from now we hope to figure it out to get into FBA, but it's FBM. So we get an export out of there and have to
Mhm.
fulfill it each month.
Okay. Got it. Got it. So, um, so I didn't even know Amazon had that program. So that's interesting. Is that something that's even available to people nowadays, or is that program closed?
I think I believe it's actually still available. We typically have quarterly calls with them about the program, but it's definitely lost some momentum. It had some more momentum
Mhm.
in previous years. I'm not sure if maybe um some of the jobs. I would imagine that might be an area that might not fare well as others. I think anything that isn't proven and isn't like a big needle mover, like Alexa technology, I think is
Right.
one of the places that's super affected by the layoffs. So I'm not sure. We probably need to touch base with them because we haven't chatted with them since the layoffs.
Oh, gotcha. So maybe your rep's not there anymore.
Yeah, I'm confident that some of them are going to be there because it's a pretty talented team.
Yeah, oh,
Um,
I would imagine. And I would imagine Amazon probably will not scrap it totally, because if they have 300 companies working there, that's probably nowhere near, some of their other programs, but that's probably generating a decent amount of revenue for them.
Yeah, it's funny. It's when we got put in the program, it was one of those things that when you go just to Amazon.com and you go all the way to the bottom of their footer,
Uh-huh.
Amazon has the most insane footer you'll ever see. They have all their programs that are active there.
Huh.
And it's insane. There's all kinds of programs that you're like, what is Box Office Mojo? Um, and that's just I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy all the things that they have. But yeah, so I don't think it's going anywhere because there are so many merchants in it.
Okay, got it. So it's semi-successful, but they might not be putting a lot of effort behind scaling it for now.
Yeah, so
But
I just looked. It's if you go to Amazon.com and you go to the footer, we're actually bottom right. It says Amazon subscription boxes.
okay, so Amazon subscription boxes, and you're part of that program. Now,
Yeah.
just to help kind of paint the picture, what percentage of your sales are Amazon versus non-Amazon for subscription boxes?
So for subscription boxes and for one time, it's both about the same. It's about a 0.5%, which
Oh, got half a
which
percent of your total sales.
yeah,
So
which
most
is
of your sales are not through this Amazon program. Hence why you're not on the phone all the time with your Amazon rep.
yeah.
You
So
have
we
other fish to fry.
yeah, so the vast majority of our business is the subscription. We're about 90% of our revenue is subscription revenue.
Mhm.
10% is marketplace one time. But when you look at different sales channels, our website, the direct to consumer through us, through a Shopify site, That is the core business. Now, to me, that means there's major opportunity for us on the Amazon side. You know Amazon better than I do. When you have a product that has a nice sales velocity and you're moving through it, the one thing you cannot do is run out of it. And the way we're ordering for the subscription box, we're ordering maybe a couple thousand extra of a SKU we think is going to do well, but this was a manufactured run. So by the time we're able to spot that it has nice sales velocity and get more and get it manufactured and get it over to us at the price point we need, it's been sold out, momentum lost. So part of our focus next year is probably doing a better job on that and trying to see how we can grow the Amazon business.
Yeah, that's that's a pain point of a lot of people, myself included, is you run out of stock, and sometimes getting back to where you were is hard, if not possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally understand that pain point. Now, one question is how would, if someone came to you and said, hey, this sounds interesting, how would you recommend to them, or what would you recommend they do to figure out, like, okay, what niche do you even go after? Like, do they take their existing private label product and try to incorporate it, or
I think
just start from scratch on this?
Yeah, I think the path of least resistance is to test a subscription element of your current business, right? For a lot of businesses, a lot of brands, it's probably a lot easier than others. But if you have any sort of way to create a subscription, in some sort of cadence of reoccurring billing, I think you try to take your existing brand and you do some testing and you try to see if you can find something there. I think you can probably lean on some of your data of repeat customers, like how often are they ordering. I know with Amazon specifically, it's a little bit of a challenge sometimes because of Amazon maintaining the customer data. But if you can get any sort of indicators of how often people are ordering your products overall, I think they can probably help create an infrastructure to know, okay, well, we have our perfect customers ordering something from us every 60 days or every 90 days. Maybe we need to set up a quarterly or a bi-monthly subscription and offer some sort of cost savings to entice it.
Got it. So if you have a product that lends itself to a recurring purchase, like if you have a can opener or a 3-press hole punch, like I'm looking at my desk, most likely people are not going to buy this over and over again.
Right.
But if you have something that does lend itself, like a supplement or something that's consumable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're looking at the hole puncher, and the other thing I think you said was an office supply too, right? So the first thing I'm thinking of is, okay, so that's what you're selling, then let's look at what the replenishable subscriptions are, right? Paper clips, ballpoint pens. Maybe you start thinking, wow, it's still on brand, still part of your typical wheelhouse of what you would be expected to sell, and if you can find the reoccurring piece.
Got it. Would you recommend folks go the route of they know what they're getting every recurrence, or
it's easier?
This is what you get.
It's easier. So it's easier to not do the surprise piece. The surprise piece definitely has a lot more challenges and logistics you have to figure out, but at the same level, and it doesn't convert at the same rate that a replenishable non-surprise does. But the reason we do it is we're able to, and we also kind of lean very heavily on content and community building and really focusing on the brand. But because of that, we get these battle boxers that are absolute, ambassadors of the brand. They love it just as much as we do. So you get some passion, and community building with it, which ultimately lead to a higher LTV, and less churn.
Lifetime value. Okay.
Correct.
Got it. No, that's fine. And so for those who aren't familiar, can you describe what churn means? Sure.
So part of the issue of subscriptions is that, yes, you get the subscriber and that's awesome, but you're going to churn a percentage every month of of your, scheduled active subscribers that typically would be billing at whatever frequency you had them agree to, they agreed to. And, for the subscription box mystery piece, little niche of e-commerce, you're typically looking at a 16 to 18% monthly churn. So you do some quick math on that. You are turning through customers. We're a little bit fortunate. We're a little bit closer to 10%.
Okay.
Which is good, which is great. You start getting on more of the non-mystery piece where it's a replenishable or something of that nature. And it's, where we're at right now, while it's a home run for mystery, it will probably be expected for a replenishable churn rate. So go ahead.
No. So just quick math. So if it's, let's say 16, 18%, you're looking at the average customer sticks around for 5-6 months, and at a 10% churn rate, the average customer is sticking around for about 10 months.
Yeah.
Did I get that right? So monthly price times.
So no, it's not as a little straightforward as that, because they're people at different parts of their life cycle.
Sure.
So like for us, example, so our average customer sticks around 7 months on average.
Okay.
But we have a very large spike in the between the fourth and the fifth box, the fourth and the fifth renewal, where we see a larger than normal increase just in general for the life cycle.
When you say increase, in like they're more likely to stick around if they've been around for 4 months, or that you see it drop off at 4 months?
We see larger fall off at that.
Okay.
After that fourth box. Now our average 7, but with that larger fourth box fall out, what we see is, no matter where you fall out, it's being calculated in that month's churn, that the current churn. So that 12% or 18% we're losing, it might be, 20% of that group might be this month, and 10% might have been 12 months in. So you have to really go by cohort data to have a better understanding. And another thing, it's super complicated. You're having to look at data in all these different ways to, our biggest one of our North Star metrics is lifetime value, which is, I mentioned earlier, how much revenue is this customer going to generate on average? Because of that, we can have, we know what our COGS are on average, and we know what our margin should be. So then we know, okay, if we can get X, if we can get a customer for X, we know that's super profitable. So we're oftentimes scaling and advertising, acquiring customers, what could be a loss in the first month, but we know that month 2, they're going to be profitable. So it's just a different way for us to look at it. We're not always as focused on like return on ad spend, so to speak, because we have such forecastable and expected revenue data when someone comes in.
Got it. So it's probably more of the cost to acquire the customer than it is like ROAS, or we would oftentimes think of ACoS, just the inverse, but
right.
Okay, got it. So how do you bring them in, so to speak, in an ad? Are you doing one of these like free plus shipping? Are you selling them a one-off product, and then in the back end you're trying to sell them into this? Or are you going straight for here's the subscription?
All of the above. We typically in ads lead with subscription. 2022 has been a challenging year just in general, I think, for everybody. In e-commerce overall, we've had to get a little bit more aggressive with offers. Initially off the jump, typically we would run ads that were just informational about the subscription, get them into our funnel. And, as they move through the funnel and engage with ads, we might offer a discount off their first box. But now we're offering a free tent with your subscription. Or something aggressive to onboard them. But it's typical ads. We also really focus on a lot of content that is not, there's no hidden agenda. It's not trying to get them to subscribe. It's just making them aware of our brand. We'll do TikToks that we're not dancing in our TikToks.
Right.
We're discussing our products and gear and what we do. But it's just to get them in the ecosystem and understand us. And, some of those audience members will actually see, oh, there could be some value in the subscription. So something I didn't hit on that I probably should have, while it's a mystery, at the end of the day, the value that you're going to get in those items, if you source them independently, is much greater than what you would have spent. So our $170 a month box, which is, it's our most popular, about 45% of our base is actually in that box. We charge shipping for it, because these are bigger than, this isn't first class under a pound mail. It could be a 6-7 pound box.
Okay.
And with that, if they pay, call it 200 after sales, after tax, shipping, everything, you're probably going to get maybe $350 worth of stuff if you tried to source it on your own. So even though it's a mystery, you might not like one of the 7 products in the box, but you're probably still going to come out ahead for the products you do like. And then you can gift that, or, I guess technically you could sell yourself on eBay, or we have a bunch of buy, sell, trade groups. So there's definitely value there, even though it is mystery.
Got it. Now, are you sourcing from the same companies over and over again? Or are you constantly looking for new suppliers?
I wish we were, because that would be a lot easier, and would allow us to, build relationships better with these manufacturers. So yes and no. Our customers don't want to see the same, they don't want to see the same product. They don't want to see the same brand too often. So the most typically we'll occasionally maybe showcase a brand 3 times in a year. But those products are all vastly different. So that's like best case scenario for repetitiveness of a brand, but only in a perfect scenario where their SKUs and options are so diverse that we could do that. Typically it's a one and done for a lot of brands, which makes it difficult for us because we're constantly having to source new, instead of building those relationships.
Got it. But you're basically going to the suppliers, the manufacturers, the wholesalers, whoever, and saying, hey, we're going to buy X amount. How far out are you having to source this? Because every month you have something. So
yeah, this is a nightmare. So we're having to on the conservative side, we can sometimes get away with maybe 180 days lead time. But typically we're north of that. We're greater than that. Which is a challenge because forecasting that far out is difficult. And it's typically one of those things, you give them the purchase order. This company, it's definitely a manufactured run. So if we're wrong on the forecast and need to bring it back some, that's typically not a fun conversation or one that's even on the table. And the same for, hey, we undershot it, we need more. They don't have the allocation. They're dealing with the manufacturer themselves. Typically, it's not them directly. So it's a challenge, and causes a huge cash flow issue as well, constantly, because we're having to pay for this product when we're ourselves not going to be even billing for it in 3-4 months sometimes.
Got it. Just mechanically, when do you bill for it versus when the customer receives it?
Sure. So we always so when you sign up, we charge you immediately. We ship you your first box right away. After that, you fall into our traditional cadence, which is on the 15th, your build.
Okay.
And then we're shipping it to you the beginning of the following month. We ship everybody their box the beginning of the following month.
Got it. So you charge their card on the 15th, and then around the 1st, it goes out.
Correct.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So this is interesting because I could see your conundrum there of you have to really hope your churn is consistent, or your acquisitions are consistent too on both sides of that equation.
Right.
To kind of thread that needle of having the right amount of product, because you've promised everybody, and I'm assuming everyone gets the same product Do you ever have to say, okay, these 400 people are getting something different?
So in 7 years we haven't. There's always the
Oh, okay.
fear. There's always the fear. Typically we try to be a little conservative inside with caution. So if we think the number is X, we'll typically build a little bit extra in because we have avenues and ways to move it. One, the products a la carte on our site at greater margins. And then we ship to Canada and Canada because of the time it takes to get the product to up to Toronto we have an office in Toronto, out of Toronto, shipped locally. It's quite a process. So they're behind a month too, which gives us another ability to move additional. We have in-cart upsell to move inventory. So we have ways to move the excess inventory. So we definitely always side with caution, but this month, for example, we were cutting it very, very close.
Got it. So if you go over, you do have ways of moving that. It's more,
you can't go under.
You can't go under.
Yeah.
Because you've promised everyone. Because and if you have this community, I'm sure they're probably comparing with each other. Hey, this is what I got, especially if you're having to
and it comes
time the East Coast versus West Coast.
Right. And it's coming with a booklet that's, typically a 6-7 page booklet, full color, really nice quality, showcasing all the items, what they are, how to use them, use case, specs, if you will. So there's no room for error.
Got it. Hey, it says this, but you gave me something else.
And we're having to print that book and create that book obviously before we're even
right, because that's going into the box. So there's a delay there because you have to create the content, then have it printed. Do you print that in house or do you have a third party you use?
So we have a third party. We have 2 different vendors for it. We have a rather large vendor. And with them, it takes a little bit more time, better pricing. But the lead time is there. Then we have a local vendor that we have a relationship where we don't use them often, but when we do, it's known, hey, something changed. We need 10,000 of these. Can we pick them up later today?
Oh, gotcha.
And luckily we have, but because of that, they're substantially, without the same day, they're still substantially more.
Sure.
But we have 2 different vendors depending on if everything's going to plan, or are we, because to your point, a product was supposed to be here typically 4 weeks before we need to ship it. Okay. But then things happen and we'll have to call audibles and we'll say, okay, well, we have this product that's very similar on the shelf for a future month. And we don't think this product's going to get in time. So let's pull this one in. We'll push that one out. Change all the creatives and let's go and we'll have to print more. It's not fun. Definitely a replenishable, non-mystery subscribe and save is definitely the path of least resistance. And so much so that we're not changing our core business, but we were really focused next year on trying to find some subscribe and save model for our space, both on our site and Amazon.
Got it. So the way to go about this, really, if I'm understanding this, is there's a lot of complexity in a mystery box, especially if it has a community and content that's going with it. So the path of least resistance, if someone's listening to this saying, I'd like to kind of go down this path, it sounds interesting because it is nice, I'm sure, knowing we can forecast what our sales are going to be, and have some level of accuracy compared to if you just have a Shopify store and you're hoping for SEO traffic.
Yeah, that's there's two reasons it's so attractive, and that's one, and then just the consistency and ability to forecast and be right. The flip side is if you ever have an exit strategy, a reoccurring revenue model is always going to yield a better valuation.
Got it. Okay, so it also could help you with multiples and valuations down the road if somebody's looking at exiting. Okay. Any other kind of closing advice to somebody thinking about getting into this, other than maybe mystery is would be varsity, but start on JV?
Yeah, I would. I think that's probably spot on on comparing it. Yeah. Start on JV. Start with with a subscribe and save model. And if you see success with it, I think that means that, okay, let's look at mystery. Let's look at bigger picture. Other advice is we have subscriptions all in our life, right? We've used subscriptions for everything. I think it's such an opportunity if you don't have one. There's just no downside to trying to take a shot and figuring it out, because recurring revenue makes your life so much easier.
Yeah, and even if you started it out and you had 20, well, you're going to figure it out. It all goes back to the man in the arena is the one, who figures it out, as opposed to, or woman in the arena, is going to figure it out more than the person who's, dreaming and hoping about it. And so, like anything in business, there's a bias towards action. So if you have the bias towards action, you're more likely to succeed. So this is interesting. So if somebody wanted to follow you or learn more, where would they go, John?
So I'm not good at Twitter, but I am on LinkedIn. I try to post couple times a month with typically just what we're kind of going through, what we're focused on, the mistakes we're making with stuff, and our learnings from it, to try to save others from making the many mistakes that we have made along the journey. And then I also have a blog called onlinequeso.com, which is, again, just kind of documenting things we're doing. So like one of our big initiatives over the past year has been turning our customer service department into a profit center, which is kind of a very unusual thing to hear, since CS departments typically are just spend the money.
Right.
And so like I document how we're doing that, how we looked at the problem, how we solved for it, what worked, what didn't work. So it's a lot of content like that.
Okay, great. Well, I definitely recommend folks check that out. So we'll have a link. It'll be in the description below if you're watching on YouTube, and if you're listening to the audio version, it'll be in the show notes. Both go to onlinequeso.com as well as John Roman's LinkedIn page. So appreciate this, John. This is has my eyes open and thinking about a few things I might potentially do with something like this. And like anything, it just got to get started.
No, I love it, Kevin. Thanks for having me. And yeah, we can chat offline if can give some feedback and ideas.
Awesome.
Cool.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It was great meeting you.